Oh, just thrilled. Absolutely thrilled. I think everyone is. It's like anything that you have an anticipation for. At a certain point, Q, as you well know, okay, enough of the anticipation. Let's do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many people did the school play when they were younger, right? I don't know how many people had to, sing in the choir. I don't know how many people had to prepare for something where you did months and months and months of preparation. I'm pretty sure everyone can relate to, okay, let's do this now, all right? Because along the way, you're thinking, God, I need more time, right? At a certain point, you're just done with needing more time. Can we do it already? I think that's where everyone is with the draft at this stage.
I think you're absolutely right, and I was thinking that, and then this weekend, the Dexter Lawrence trade happened, right? And so now he goes for the Giants.
Messed up our mock draft.
Yeah,
man.
exactly. How do you see that anticipating and changing, though, the first round of this draft now that Dexter Lawrence is in Cincinnati?
Well, it really expanded the Giants' options, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just looking at, if you're just sticking and picking, okay, I'm not talking about any other trades now.
Right.
I think the Giants have no desire now to get out, trade down, what have you. I think having 5 and 10, that tells you let's pick.
Right.
Right? Let's get our two guys and let's pick. If other people want to do the trade down, move around, that's fine. They're the guys, these are the guys we want. And to me, offensive line is a huge part. You got the young quarterback in Dart. You want to make sure he's taken care of. Okay, so that's a huge consideration as far as I'm concerned. Wide receiver, we're hearing. I'm sure you're seeing the smoke billowing around Jordan Tyson and Joe Shane being at his pro day, one of the latest pro day on record because he had been hurt. And then Caleb Downs keeps popping up. I'm going to throw one more at you.
Okay.
What if Jeremiah Love doesn't go?
Oof.
What if Jeremiah Love sitting there at 5? Okay, how did John Harbaugh make his bones in Baltimore?
Right.
Running the football, having a bell cow back. Okay? Finding that guy. If Love's sitting there at 5, I think he's gone to the Giants. I really do.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I don't know that he's sitting. I don't know that he's sitting there though.
Right.
Because Tennessee's sitting there at 4. And by the way, if Arizona doesn't consider him at 3, and I'm pretty sure Monty Allison, their GM and his staff, they're running their permutations. That is a franchise fan base that needs an infusion of energy and excitement in a massive way.
For sure.
Jeremiah Love would give you that. So anyway, moving right along.
No, you're right about that, and he's going to be one of the big storylines going into the draft starting on Thursday, obviously. But with that being said, and again, Charles Davis from the NFL Network is with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920. I heard that this defensive tackle class is supposed to be deep, but then I saw the Cincinnati Bengals trade for a 28-year-old, give him a contract extension, and say that they'd rather go with the veteran. So does that tell us anything about this defensive tackle class, or they just prefer the veteran?
No, Q, I think it tells us something that maybe we just didn't quite lock in on, and maybe we have, but you tell me. Yes, it's a deep class. I agree with that. But it's not a deep class where it's an upper echelon, top of the draft deep class. It's a deep class once we start really getting into the 20s.
Okay.
That's what I think, right? Because who's your flavor? Peter Woods, Caden McDonald, Caleb Banks, Lee Hunter. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
Big Citrus himself, Dominic Orange. What's the one thing that they have in common? None of them have pass rush numbers, right? You're not looking at someone going, "Oh my God!" Not only did he wreck us where we couldn't run the football, they got upfield and they sacked my quarterback. See, that's the distinguisher between Byron Murphy and Devondre Sweat coming out of Texas.
Right.
The funny part is you go back, Sweat won almost all the awards, right? Outland and all that. I can't name what they were, but he was like the defensive player of the year in the Big 12. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
Devondre Sweat won all of those. The pros were like, no. Murphy's the dude.
Yeah.
Why? Because his ability to get upfield and affect people in the backfield. We saw that on display with Seattle. Sweat's a very good football player, but he's a line of scrimmage, create rubble, run defender. In today's NFL, they want a little more pressure towards the quarterback. And that's why I think it's a deep defensive tackle group. But this is why Cincinnati made the move for Lawrence, because he's a proven pass rusher from the interior. Remember 2 years ago?
Yeah.
God almighty, we were like, oh, good Lord, this is Aaron Donald redo, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's what Cincinnati is counting on, and that's what you get from him that you don't get from any defensive tackle, in my humble opinion, that's in this draft. At least they have not shown that so far. Maybe they'll blossom in the NFL. But what we've seen on tape in college, that's not what we've seen with these guys.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And that's, I'm a big Caden McDonald guy, but that's the one, he doesn't have a lot of pass rush, right? He doesn't have that, but he can stop the run. So
we're hoping some of this develops now, because remember, Caden McDonald's a 1 year guy at Ohio State.
Yeah.
But that 1 year was pretty darn good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
mean, Big Ten defensive lineman of the year, people couldn't move him, the whole thing. We have yet to see any of them demonstrate where you go, yeah, that guy rushes the passer. That can change in the NFL. He can become that guy. We just haven't seen it so far.
How likely is that, CD, that a guy – and the reason I asked this is Phil Snow was, when he was the defensive coordinator for Baylor, he said, Q, if a guy doesn't create turnovers in college, he's probably not going to create turnovers in the NFL.
Yeah.
What about, is that the same that would apply to a defensive tackle if he doesn't really get to the quarterback in college? Is he going to develop that in the NFL? Is it likely that he could do that?
Yeah, listen, I'm a big advocate of Phil Snow. Love Coach Snow. And I think a lot of what he's saying is on target. If you really believe in a guy, though, Q, you just got to dig deep and make sure what you're seeing from him in college. What was he asked to do? Right. What were his responsibilities? See, Trent Baalke has caught a lot of you-know-what as the former GM of San Francisco and former GM of Jacksonville. Remember, he drafted Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson and didn't have a lot of numbers to go on, did we, in terms of pass rush, right? But he knew that in the Georgia system, he was more of a base end. He wasn't, asked to rush the quarterback that way. He took him on traits and believed that he could develop. Well, you just saw the contract that Trayvon Walker just got. He's been, back-to-back, double-digit sacks, the whole thing. So Trent Baalke was right about that. But you have to do your homework, and you have to have that belief that athletic ability can translate into that if we ask him to do those things that maybe he wasn't asked to do before. So I think Phil Snow is on target in terms of what we traditionally believe, and it is proven out over time. But there's always exceptions to every rule. Similar quarterbacks who are inaccurate in college don't become more accurate in the NFL. Yeah. Josh Allen was what? What was the percentage did he throw at Wyoming?
That's a good point.
He's in the 50s.
Yeah.
Now Josh Allen's a 70% thrower.
Mm-hmm. So
what was the difference? Now, will this happen with every quarterback? The answer is still no. The answer is still much more what you were in college. You're more likely to be in the NFL. But we're willing to take more of a chance now if we believe in that player.
Facts. Big facts right there. Again, Charles Davis from the NFL Network with us here. Raider Nation Radio 920. Do you anticipate any more veterans being moved either before the trade or before the draft or during the draft like we saw Dexter Lawrence get moved?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think a lot of it depends on contracts, Q, because we're all listening to all the noise that post-June 1, A.J. Brown's going to New England, right?
Yep.
So how many guys, where's the contract, who's going to pick up this, that sort of a deal? This doesn't feel like a big veteran trade move draft. This feels much more like a I'm not denigrating the draft at all. I think it's a draft of good to really good players, but not a draft of superstars.
Okay.
So what are you parlaying, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't see a lot of movement that way. We'll see. I mean, hopefully I'm wrong and we have fireworks all through the first round. We're down to 8 minutes per pick.
Yeah.
Man, if we start wheeling and dealing during that time, we could have a great first round. I just don't anticipate that type of thing happening. I think most people are just trying to figure out, can we get out? That's what they're trying to do.
Right.
Can I get out of my position and get down and accumulate picks? Well, I feel like half the league wants to do that. So if half the league wants to do it, how many people can actually get out?
Right.
Not as many as anticipated.
No, you need a dance partner. Got to have a
dance partner. You have somebody who says we're going to do it. Buffalo is picking at 26, and then they don't pick until 91.
Right.
Of course they want to get out. Yeah, but who's gonna help them?
Right.
That's going to be the key.
It really will. It really will. Charles Davis, NFL Network, with us here at Raider Nation Radio 920. We saw also over the weekend Zachariah Branch arrested. Looking at the police report, it didn't look like it was major, but it's still an arrest. What does that do for his draft stock, if anything?
I don't think it plummets it. I don't think it torpedoes it. I think the teams are going to be like, I'll put it this way. It'd be like my dad if I did something like that. Mm-hmm. It's just me and him. Son, what is wrong with you?
That's true.
Because just based on reading their police report, they're asking you to move, and you decide not to move. Why?
Right.
What are we gaining here? Mm-hmm. I don't think it plummets him. It doesn't torpedo him. We've seen far bigger infractions, and guys still go in the first round. I still see Laramie Tunsil's face with the gas mask on.
Man. Yep.
And you remember, Q, he fell that night because he was supposed to be a top 10, top 5 pick, right? Mm-hmm. He fell to 13.
Right. It was a big drop.
so I don't see a guy not moving on the sidewalk. I'm not sure that. Like, I'll put it this way: if you liked him, you're going to ask him why he did something that seems not real smart. And if you didn't like him, you weren't going to take him anyway.
Right.
But that's this is not one of those ones, right? Ruben Bain has had to answer a far bigger question that we popped up from 2024. And it certainly sounds like that question has been answered with the family of the victim and everyone else. But, that's not going to hurt him either because it has been answered, has been done, has been adjudicated, et cetera, from everything I understand.
Well, we'll close out with this. It's fantastic. I'm here in Pittsburgh already. The draft is here starting on Thursday. Obviously, you'll be on all over the draft coverage. What is your anticipation for Pittsburgh as it pertains to the NFL draft?
A lot of different options for them there. I'm hearing rumors about offensive line sitting there at 21, which surprised me just a touch, depending on which way they want to go with it. But that's in play. Obviously, the wide receiver spot, depending on who's available and does that fit. I don't see quarterback at all. I know that people still want to talk about that. Yep. But the second quarterback, if indeed we all believe it, is Ty Simpson. I don't think Pittsburgh reaches at 21 for a quarterback that fits them and what they've played with over the years. So, and you know what that's been? It's been big, strong, physical guys. I don't think they reach for Drew Aller there. They're not reaching for Carson Beck there. So I don't see them taking quarterback at all. I think receiver, offensive tackle, and maybe if there's an athlete that they like that slides down, maybe that.
Ty Simpson will be that guy that everyone's looking at to see where he goes. First round, second round, someone trades up. Where is the second quarterback going to go? Well, CD, it's always great, man. Can't wait till the draft gets going. And, of course, check you and the rest of your colleagues there at NFL Network all over the coverage, man. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you as always.
I'll see you when I get to town. Have one of those Primanti Brothers sandwiches for me in the meantime, all right?
Absolutely. I'll see you on Wednesday, as a matter of fact.
All right. Be good, sir.